The most powerful cancer-fighting foods in the world aren't in a pill bottle or behind a pharmacy counter. They are sitting right there in the produce section of your grocery store next to the bananas and the bread. At 91 years old, living on my own, I can tell you honestly, the way I eat has made all the difference. And what science is discovering about 4 common vegetables and their ability to support your body's natural defenses against cancer is truly remarkable. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 4 vegetables I'm talking about, why they work, and how to get more of them into your meals, even if you don't love cooking or your appetite isn't what it used to be. Stay with me because near the end, I'll share the one thing most people over 70 get wrong when trying to eat healthier. It could be making your efforts less effective than they should be. Before we dive in, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a 91-year-old friend sharing what I've learned. Always check with your doctor before changing your diet, especially if you're managing a health condition. Why what we eat actually matters for cancer prevention. First, I want to give you a little background because I think it helps to understand why food matters so much. Our bodies are made up of trillions of cells. Every single day, some of those cells divide and multiply. That's normal. That's how we heal and grow. But sometimes a cell makes a mistake when it divides. It starts growing out of control. That's essentially what cancer is. Cells that won't stop multiplying the way they should. Now here's the good news. Our bodies have natural defense systems. We have something called the immune system, which is like an army inside us. And we have enzymes and compounds that work to repair damaged cells and even destroy cells that are growing abnormally. The question is, are we feeding those defense systems the fuel they need to do their job? That's where these 4 vegetables come in. Research, real published, peer-reviewed research, shows that certain vegetables contain compounds that do several important things. They help the body fight inflammation, and inflammation over time is closely linked to cancer risk. They help neutralize what are called free radicals, unstable molecules in the body that damage our cells. They support the liver, which is the organ responsible for filtering out toxins, and some of them have been shown to actually slow the growth of cancer cells in laboratory studies. Now, I want to be careful here. I'm not saying eating broccoli will cure cancer. Please don't hear that. But there is very strong evidence that a diet rich in these vegetables can reduce your risk, support your body during treatment, and help your body function at its best. And at our age, that matters more than ever. So let's talk about these 4 vegetables. I'll go one at a time. I'll tell you what the science says, and then I'll give you simple, practical ways to eat more of them. No complicated recipes. Just real food, simply prepared. Vegetable number 1, broccoli. I want to start with broccoli because it is, without question, one of the most studied vegetables in cancer research. Scientists have been looking at broccoli for decades, and what they keep finding is remarkable. Broccoli belongs to a family of vegetables called cruciferous vegetables. You might also know them as the cabbage family. Other members include cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage. But broccoli gets a lot of attention because of one particular compound it contains. It's called sulforaphane. That's a big word, so let me explain it simply. When you chew broccoli, and this is important, I'll come back to this, a chemical reaction happens. 2 things inside the broccoli cell mix together and create sulforaphane. And the sulforaphane is a powerful compound that does several things in the body. It activates what are called detoxification enzymes. Think of these as your body's cleanup crew. They help break down and remove cancer-causing substances before they can damage your DNA. Studies published in reputable journals have found that sulforaphane can slow the growth of cancer cells. Some studies have shown it may even trigger a process called apoptosis, which is when a damaged or abnormal cell essentially destroys itself the way it's supposed to. This is something our bodies are designed to do. Sulforaphane seems to help support that natural process. Research from Johns Hopkins University, which has been studying broccoli for many years, has shown that people who eat more cruciferous vegetables tend to have lower rates of certain cancers, including prostate, breast, and colon cancer. Now, here is something very practical I want you to remember. How you prepare broccoli matters. When you boil broccoli for a long time, you lose a significant portion of that sulforaphane. The heat destroys the enzyme that creates it. So, the best ways to eat broccoli are raw, lightly steamed, just a few minutes, or roasted in the oven. My personal favorite is to steam it for about 3 to 4 minutes until it's bright green and just a little tender. Then I drizzle a bit of olive oil over it and add a pinch of salt. That's it. Simple, delicious, and full of everything good. Another wonderful trick, and I learned this from reading about the research, is to chop your broccoli and let it sit for about 10 minutes before you cook it. That resting time allows the sulforaphane creating reaction to happen before the heat can interfere. So chop it, wait, then cook it. Such a small step for such a big benefit. If you don't love broccoli on its own, try adding it to soups, stir-fries, or pasta. You can even add raw broccoli florets to a smoothie with some fruit. You'll barely taste it, I promise. Try to aim for at least 2 to 3 servings of broccoli or other cruciferous vegetables each week. Even small amounts, eaten regularly, can make a difference over time. And here's a little reassurance. You do not need to eat enormous amounts. Consistency matters more than quantity. A small portion several times a week is better than a huge portion once in a while. Coming up next, we're going to talk about a vegetable that's been used as medicine for thousands of years. And current science is finally catching up to explain why. Vegetable number 2, garlic. Now, garlic is technically a vegetable. It belongs to the allium family, along with onions, leeks, and chives. And I know some people might not think of garlic as a vegetable. They think of it as a spice or a seasoning. But it absolutely counts, and it absolutely belongs on this list. Humans have been using garlic medicinally for over 5,000 years. Ancient Egyptians gave it to the workers who built the pyramids to keep them strong. Ancient Chinese medicine prescribed it for respiratory problems. And for centuries, people across many cultures used it to fight infection. Now, science is showing us exactly why garlic is so powerful and what it means for cancer specifically. The key compound in garlic is called allicin. Just like sulforaphane in broccoli, allicin is created by a chemical reaction that happens when you crush or chop garlic. When the cell walls break, 2 substances inside the garlic come together and produce allicin. Allicin has been shown in research studies to have anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, and even anti-tumor properties. That means it helps fight inflammation, it neutralizes cell-damaging free radicals, and in laboratory studies, it has been shown to slow the growth of cancer cells. The National Cancer Institute, which is part of the U.S. government's health research agency, has noted that population studies have shown a link between increased garlic consumption and a reduced risk of certain cancers, particularly cancers of the stomach, colon, esophagus, and breast. One large study conducted in China found that people who ate raw garlic at least twice a week had a significantly lower risk of lung cancer compared to those who ate little or no garlic. That's a meaningful finding. Now, how do you get the most out of garlic? The same principle applies as with broccoli. You want to let that chemical reaction happen before you apply heat. The best way to do this is to crush or mince your garlic and let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes before cooking it. This gives the allicin time to form. Then, if you cook it, do so gently. Don't blast it in a very hot pan for a long time. High heat quickly degrades allicin. Raw garlic has the most potency if you can tolerate it. You can add a small amount of raw minced garlic to salad dressings, guacamole, or hummus. If raw garlic is too strong for your stomach, and for many of us it can be, lightly sautéed garlic in a bit of olive oil is still very beneficial. I add garlic to almost everything I cook. Soups, stir-fries, roasted vegetables, eggs in the morning. It makes food taste wonderful, and it's doing something good for your body at the same time. One small but important note. If you're taking blood thinners like warfarin, large amounts of garlic can potentially interact with that medication. So, if you're on any blood thinners or have a surgery coming up, please check with your doctor about how much garlic is safe for you. This is exactly the kind of thing worth asking your physician about. For most people, adding 2 to 3 cloves of garlic to your meals regularly is a wonderful, delicious habit. It's one of the easiest changes you can make. Let's pause here for a moment. I want to ask you something. Which of these two, broccoli or garlic, do you already eat regularly? Take a second to think about it. Maybe you use a lot of garlic but rarely touch broccoli. Or maybe you're the opposite. Whatever your answer is, that tells you exactly where there's room to add something new. Because we're not trying to overhaul your entire diet today. We're looking for small additions, simple swaps, easy wins. All right, let's keep going because vegetable number 3 is one that I think would genuinely surprise you. Vegetable number 3, spinach. Spinach is one of those vegetables that most of us know is good for us. But I don't think most people realize just how powerful it is when it comes to fighting cancer and protecting the body. Spinach is what's called a dark leafy green, and dark leafy greens are among the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. That means they pack an enormous amount of nutrition into very few calories. So, what does spinach contain that makes it so special for cancer prevention? Several things. First, spinach is loaded with antioxidants. Antioxidants are compounds that neutralize free radicals, those unstable molecules I mentioned earlier that damage our cells. When our cells get damaged repeatedly over time, that damage can eventually lead to cancer. Antioxidants are essentially bodyguards for our cells. Spinach contains a particularly powerful antioxidant called EGCG. No, wait, I'm thinking of green tea. Let me correct that. Spinach contains several key antioxidants, including beta-carotene, lutein, and zeaxanthin. It's also one of the richest food sources of folate, which is a B vitamin that plays a critical role in DNA repair. When your body can repair its own DNA efficiently, it's much better at catching and correcting errors before they become a problem. Research published in the journal Nutrients has highlighted spinach as a significant source of compounds that help inhibit, that means slow or block, the growth of cancer cells, particularly in studies looking at stomach and skin cancer. Spinach also contains a compound called chlorophyll. That's the pigment that makes it green. Chlorophyll has been shown in some studies to bind to carcinogens, which are cancer-causing substances, and help carry them out of the body before they can do damage. And here's something I find fascinating. Spinach contains a type of fat-soluble nutrient, meaning it's absorbed better when eaten with a little fat. So when you dress your spinach salad with olive oil or saute it with a little butter, you're actually helping your body absorb more of its nutrients. Isn't that lovely? The delicious way is often the right way. Now, how do you eat more spinach? Baby spinach is the easiest, in my opinion. It's tender, it's mild, and it requires no preparation at all. You can eat it straight out of the bag. Add it to sandwiches instead of lettuce. Toss a handful into scrambled eggs while they're cooking. It wilts beautifully in about 60 seconds. Add it to soups right before serving. And here's one of my favorite tricks. I add a large handful of baby spinach to smoothies. You cannot taste it. The fruit completely covers it, but you get all the nutrition. My grandchildren have no idea it's in there. Frozen spinach is also a wonderful option. It's picked at peak ripeness and frozen immediately, which actually preserves the nutrients very well. And it's usually less expensive than fresh. You can add frozen spinach straight into soups, stews, or pasta sauces. One gentle note for those of you who have kidney issues. Spinach is high in something called oxalates. which can contribute to kidney stones in people who are prone to them. If you have any history of kidney stones or kidney disease, please check with your doctor about how much spinach is appropriate for you. For everyone else, aim for a good serving of dark leafy greens, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, at least 3 to 4 times a week. Your body will thank you. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that I'd share the one thing most people over 70 get wrong when they try to eat healthier. I haven't forgotten, we're getting close. But first, let me tell you about the 4th vegetable on our list. And this one is deeply personal to me. Vegetable number 4, carrots. My mother grew carrots in our garden when I was a little girl. She used to say, "Eat your carrots, Grace. They'll keep your eyes bright and your heart strong." She didn't know the science behind it. She just knew from experience that carrots were good for you. And as it turns out, she was right in more ways than she could have imagined. Carrots are one of the best dietary sources of a compound called beta-carotene. Now, you may have heard of beta-carotene before. It's what gives carrots their orange color. And in the body, beta-carotene is converted into vitamin A. But beyond vitamin A, beta-carotene itself is a powerful antioxidant. It helps protect cells from damage. It supports immune function. And the research has linked higher dietary intake of beta-carotene to reduced risk of certain cancers, particularly lung cancer, stomach cancer, and colon cancer. A large meta-analysis. That's a study that combines data from many different studies, published in the European Journal of Nutrition, found that higher carrot consumption was associated with a significantly reduced risk of colon cancer. The researchers estimated that people who ate the most carrots had about a 26% lower risk compared to those who ate the fewest. That is a substantial difference from a simple, inexpensive vegetable. Carrots also contain a compound called falcarinol. It's a natural pesticide that carrots produce to protect themselves from fungal disease. And interesting research from the University of Newcastle found that falcarinol may help reduce the risk of cancer by destroying precancerous cells. It's a wonderful example of how what protects the plant can also protect us. There's also a type of fiber in carrots called pectin. Pectin feeds the beneficial bacteria in our gut, our microbiome. And a healthy gut microbiome is increasingly being linked to a stronger immune system and a lower cancer risk. Now here's something about carrots that's a little different from broccoli and garlic. With carrots, cooking actually increases the availability of beta-carotene. Raw carrots are still good for you, don't get me wrong, but your body can absorb more of the beta-carotene when carrots are lightly cooked. This is because cooking breaks down the cell walls a little and releases more of that compound. So roasted carrots, steamed carrots, carrots in soup, all excellent. And again, eating them with a small amount of healthy fat helps your body absorb even more of the beta-carotene since it's fat-soluble. My personal favorite is to roast carrots in the oven. I cut them into sticks, toss them with a little olive oil and a pinch of cinnamon or cumin, whichever I'm in the mood for, and roast them at about 400 degrees until they're tender and slightly caramelized. They're sweet, they're satisfying, and they feel like a treat. Carrots are also one of the most convenient vegetables you can keep at home. They have a long shelf life in the refrigerator. Baby carrots require no preparation at all. You can snack on them throughout the day, dip them in hummus, or add them to soups and stews. They're inexpensive, widely available, and your body loves them. Let's pause here for a short story, because I want to make this feel real for a moment. A few years ago, my friend Dolores was going through cancer treatment. She was receiving chemotherapy and she felt terrible, exhausted, nauseated, with very little appetite. Her oncologist had encouraged her to focus on nutrient-dense, easy-to-digest foods to support her body during treatment. One of the things that helped her most was a simple carrot and a ginger soup. She could tolerate it even on difficult days. It was warm and gentle and easy to swallow, and she felt she was doing something active, something positive for her body even on the hardest days. I'm not telling you this story to suggest soup will treat cancer. I'm sharing it because I think it's important to remember that what we eat matters at every stage of life. Whether we're trying to prevent illness, manage it, or recover from it, nourishing our bodies with real, whole foods is always a step in the right direction. Dolores recovered, she's still with us, and she still makes that soup. The one thing most people over 70 get wrong, and how to fix it. All right. I promised you this, and here it is. I've talked to a lot of people my age and close to my age about eating healthy. And I see the same pattern over and over again. People hear that a certain food is good for them. They buy it, they eat a lot of it for a few days, and then they stop. Life gets busy. They get tired. It doesn't taste the way they expected, and they go back to what they were eating before. That's the mistake. And it's completely understandable, but it means they never get the real benefit. Here is the truth about these vegetables, or any healthy food for that matter. The benefit comes from consistency, not intensity. Eating a giant bowl of broccoli once a month does very little for your body. But eating a modest serving of broccoli several times a week, every week, over months and years, that is transformative. That is when the sulforaphane has time to work. That is when the anti-inflammatory effects build up. That is when your body's natural defense systems get consistently fed and supported. So the shift I want you to make is not a dramatic one. It is not a complete overhaul of your diet. It is not a strict meal plan. It is simply this. Pick one of these 4 vegetables, just one, and commit to eating it at least 3 times this week. That's all. 3 times this week. Then, once that feels normal and comfortable, and it will, I promise, you add another. Maybe next month. Maybe in 2 months. There is no rush. This is not a race. This is not a competition. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to be consistent. And consistency, repeated over time, is what creates lasting change in your health. Small changes done consistently have enormous power. I've watched this in my own life. I've watched it in the lives of my friends. 1 carrot, 1 handful of spinach, 1 clove of garlic, 1 piece of broccoli. These are not grand gestures, but they are real, and they add up. Putting it all together, a simple weekly plan. Now let me give you something practical to walk away with. Here's how I personally try to include these 4 vegetables in my week. I'm not rigid about it. If I don't have something on hand, I don't stress. But this is roughly what it looks like. On Monday and Thursday, I try to have broccoli. Sometimes I steam it as a side dish. Sometimes I roast it. Sometimes I toss it into a stir fry. I use garlic almost every day. When I'm cooking anything savory, eggs, soup, vegetables, I add garlic. I chop it and let it rest, then add it in. It's automatic at this point. I don't even think about it anymore. Spinach I add to meals whenever I can. A handful in my eggs in the morning, a big pile in my soup. Baby spinach in a salad with whatever vegetables I have on hand. I keep baby spinach in the refrigerator at all times because it requires 0 preparation. And carrots I keep as a snack option. Baby carrots in the refrigerator, ready to eat. I'll roast a batch on Sunday that lasts me several days. And I add them to soups and stews regularly. That's it. No special grocery store, no expensive ingredients, no complicated recipes. Just real vegetables, simply prepared, eaten regularly. A word about eating well. When appetite is small, I want to address something that I know many of you deal with. As we get older, our appetites often decrease. Food may not taste as interesting as it used to. Cooking for one can feel like too much effort. And sometimes medications affect how food tastes or smells. If this sounds like you, please know you are not alone. And there are ways to work with this. When appetite is small, focus on nutrient density. That means choosing foods that pack the most nutrition into the smallest amount. Dark leafy greens like spinach are perfect for this. A small handful has an enormous amount of nutrition. Smoothies are a wonderful option when eating feels hard. A small smoothie with spinach, a banana, some frozen berries, and a little almond milk or regular milk gives you excellent nutrition in a drinkable form. Soups are another great option. You can puree carrots, spinach, and garlic into a smooth, warm soup that's easy to eat and full of everything good. And when cooking feels like too much, remember, raw baby spinach and baby carrots require absolutely no cooking. You can eat them straight from the container. Simple is not less than. Simple is still nourishing. If your appetite has decreased significantly, or if you've been losing weight without trying, please bring that up with your doctor. Unintended weight loss can be a sign of something that needs attention. Your doctor is your partner in this. What we covered today. Let me bring it all together quickly so you can walk away with clarity. We talked about 4 vegetables that research shows can help your body fight inflammation, neutralize cell-damaging free radicals, support your immune system, and help protect against cancer. Vegetable 1 is broccoli. It contains sulforaphane, which activates your body's natural detox enzymes and has been shown in studies to slow the growth of cancer cells. Chop it, let it rest 10 minutes, then steam or roast it lightly. Vegetable 2 is garlic. It contains allicin, which is anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and has anti-tumor properties. Mince it, let it rest 10 to 15 minutes, and add it to nearly everything you cook. If you're on blood thinners, check with your doctor first. Vegetable 3 is spinach. It's rich in antioxidants, folate for DNA repair, and chlorophyll that helps carry carcinogens out of the body. Add it to eggs, soups, smoothies, and salads. It's mild and incredibly versatile. Vegetable 4 is carrots. They're rich in beta-carotene and falcarinol, both of which have been linked to reduced cancer risk, particularly colon cancer. Roast them, steam them, snack on them raw. Light cooking actually makes the beta-carotene more available to your body. And the big insight, consistency is everything. 1 vegetable 3 times this week. That's your starting point. Simple, gentle, and real. Before I let you go, I want to say something to you directly. I know that some of you watching this are dealing with your own health challenges. Some of you may be going through cancer treatment right now or recovering from it. Some of you are caring for someone who is. And some of you are watching this because you want to do everything you can to stay healthy and independent for as long as possible. Wherever you are on that journey, I see you. And I want you to know that taking care of yourself, even in small ways, is a powerful act of self-respect and self-love. You deserve to feel well. You deserve to feel strong. And you deserve to know that the choices you make every single day, even the small ones, genuinely matter. A little broccoli, a clove of garlic, a handful of spinach, a handful of carrots. These small, simple, inexpensive things are available to almost all of us. And they are doing real work in the body. Not magic, not a miracle, but real, documented, scientific work to support your health. Please, always involve your doctor in your health decisions. Bring them questions. Tell them what you're eating and why. A good doctor will be glad to hear it. And if you have specific concerns about cancer or cancer risk, please have that conversation with your healthcare provider. Early detection saves lives. Regular screening saves lives. Please don't skip those appointments. Take it 1 vegetable at a time. Go at your own pace. Be gentle with yourself. And remember what I always say. You don't have to be perfect to be healthy. You just have to keep going. I'll see you in the next video, dear friend.